This is the North End. This is the North End.
What up, everybody? This is the North End Premier League YouTube channel, and I'm a guy who hosts sometimes. My name's Paul. What up? Nice to meet you. How are you? Joining me tonight are my good friends all the way from California, JP California, and from New York City, Luke the Duke. Not of New York, but soon to be Luke the Duke of New York. He's only just gotten there, so give him time.
I'm walking here. There you go. He's walking here.
Gentlemen, how are we? How's our weekend going? How's our Sunday?
JP, please.
Football-wise, it's going terrible. But, the weekend itself without sports is actually good. So,
I don't know if I can separate the two. I'll be honest. I have a sickness where I can't separate the sports from the weekend itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an illness.
I am envious of people who, those rare people that kind of go, I just don't get sports. And my initial reaction is, well, I don't get you. Yeah. But then I suffer through a 2-1 defeat of a team 52 places lower than my team and go, you know what?
I'd be happier.
I think you might be.
This person chose a better life than I because I am a sports fan.
Yeah, it's there's a problem when your girlfriend or substantial other or someone says, "Are you all right?" and you respond with "fuck you," and then you realize actually that was totally unwarranted, and I'm a bit of an asshole. So yeah,
I mean,
it does happen. Yeah.
Do you interrupt their shows?
That's true. But then you realize, in my case, you don't have a girlfriend, and then you have a bigger issue of who have I been talking to for the last 30, 40 minutes? Yeah. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is being an Aston Villa fan.
Yeah. The rumors are true, everybody. Luke the Duke is available. And JP is a magician.
Agent. He's a free agent, and JP's cat has killed him. I think JP just fell off. I think he was so shocked to hear that I was single. Thanks, JP. Yeah. It's real support.
He fell off his
chair. I'm coming back to it. The cat did assault me right now.
That is a big cat. And those
Are you okay? Do we need to call somebody?
This chair had slippier wheels than I really expected. The balance of this chair was not there. Yes. I got that completely wrong.
JP California sitting in a chair to be a challenge. Let's continue the show.
Fine.
Right. Okay, gents. So this is a reaction video. A lot of stuff has gone on. This is a weird one. It totally flared up for about an hour, and then it totally sizzled out for another hour. But we're still going to talk about it, and we'll talk about the actual rumor itself, which is Harry Maguire to Villa, and then we can talk about whether or not we think it's true or not. But I think the first point would be: is this even something that you guys feel good about? I don't know where everybody stands now with Harry Maguire. I am a Man United guy, so I certainly have a certain perspective on what he is and what he is not. I will give us all a little bit of a frame of reference just to be clear about where this rumor came from and why it maybe isn't something to get too excited about. Harry Maguire was seen with his agent and his brothers somewhere close to Aston Villa. Supposedly they were golfing somewhere out there. Yeah. He was either signing for Aston Villa or he was golfing, but we're at the point of the internet where this guy here circled is Harry Maguire, and somebody feels the need to take a cheeky little photo and put it online. And there are some credible journalists from the Manchester Evening News who are putting it out there that this is going to happen. They're putting their name, attaching it to the rumor. So it's not quite as far-fetched as maybe just taking photos at pubs would suggest it is. But let's talk about it. So Harry Maguire, Aston Villa, is he potentially a good signing for Aston Villa?
So thank you so much, JP. So I'm going to say yes. I think this is a great move, or would be a great move for Harry Maguire for many reasons. One, I think his time at Man United has been a convoluted one, and one that I think would be a mutual breakup for both parties. I think United fans, I'm sure you'll pick up on this, Paul, would be probably less than sad to see him leave. And I think for Harry Maguire, I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. I think an awful lot of the problems at United have been put at his door, and I don't think that's completely warranted, because I think United has been a bit of a dumpster fire for a while. Now, I will say he isn't without faults. I think you have to understand what he brings to the team and what he doesn't. And I think he is still a very good player. I just believe that he is in need of a team where he can rebuild a better mentality. And I think right now at United, you have quite a lot of strength at centre back. I think maybe another one coming in would obviously make his position a little bit harder. But I can't see him starting regularly over Varane or who's the little Argentinian?
Martinez.
Yeah. And they've both been pretty good. But I can see him rotating in it. But yeah, for us, I think he's great. He obviously gets rid of the problem that is Tyrone Mings. I'm joking, JP. No, I think he offers something different, and I think Villa need it. And after today's performance, just any improvement across the board. And I think for the right fee, we have the money, a little bit of money for the loan with an opportunity to buy at the end of the year. I think it's a good bit of business.
JP, do we think the same, or do you have a different take on this?
Well, I see the positives to bringing someone like Maguire to Villa. I am on the opposite end of the spectrum where I don't think this is an option Villa should go after or should chase, because it's a position we're full in. We have 4 center backs and a 5th one who's returning from injury right now in Diego Carlos. We spent a lot of money on Diego Carlos, like 26-30 million pounds on this center back from Spain, who is one of the top guys, chased by a lot of Italian, German, even English clubs. And to pick him up, he only played what, Luke? Was it the second game he got injured?
Second or third game.
Tore an ACL or something. He had a long-term injury. He's just now returning. I just don't see the position as like the center back is the focal point that Villa need to be strengthening in him. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean defense doesn't need support. We're clearly in line for some other guys that we'll talk about in a little bit. But it's kind of like doubling up on something we already have when we could really use that money, that time, that energy, focusing on certain positions that would utilize and help the squad build in different spots.
So let me ask you this question, because this is where it comes down to what the manager wants to do and what the manager has. Does your manager, your new manager, who's like, this is his first real transfer window in charge of the club, is he after somebody that is more of a ball playing center back? Is he a fan of playing the ball out from the back and hasn't had the tools to do so with Tyrone Mings as an example?
He's 100% a ball out of the back type of guy. It killed us today by playing that exact way, and it isn't the first time we've been scored trying to play out of the back. Do we need ball playing center backs? Is not. I just don't think that's the issue per se. We could get by with Tyrone Mings, Ezri Konsa, even Callum Chambers, who can all play the ball out of the back fairly consistently and fairly well. I'm not going to say that they don't come with errors. Every center back comes with errors. And Maguire's no different, as you would know. They do have errors in them. It clearly seems like he is focusing on a left back who can pass the ball out, because Luka Dean currently is struggling at Aston Villa in the last few months since Emery has come in. But I feel like there's a type of player there that I could see Villa going for, but I just don't think right now is what they need it to be.
I think it depends on the deal as well. I think a big part of this is really, if United are willing to give him, give this for a 4-5 million loan and take a chunk of his wages, it's not like we're not cash strapped. No. A year ago we couldn't pay a tax. 2 years ago we couldn't pay a tax bill. Now we have these super billionaire owners. So it's a case of, what's the deal on offer? But I think Unai has been brought in with a lot of faith behind him, and I think he is a smart manager with some smart decision making. And it's not a Nottingham Forest situation. It's not going to be brought in. He turns up to training on Monday and Harry Maguire stood there waving and he's like, what happened? I think if he wants him, he'll have him. And if he doesn't, he won't. So I think it could be a great thing, but I'd be happy either way, really. If we didn't, JP made some really good points there, actually. Yeah.
I want to be very clear about, you just wildly speculated a loan for a price There is nothing reported back suggestion that there's a short-term loan attached to Harry Maguire.
But why not a wild speculation? This is modern day transfer rumors, Paul.
Right.
A picture of a guy having a pint somewhere near Birmingham is enough to go. He's on the way. So
what are you talking about? The British press, they are the best in the world.
That's true. That's why
Harry. To be clear, when somebody asks their opinion about a transfer and they say, "Well, if he's free with a bag of chips, I have no problem with it." Just be realistic. You're not going to get him free with a bag of chips. You're also not going to get this guy on loan for a minimal fee.
And the price, you're
going to get him for way less than what we bought him for. But he is still.
Do you think he would be potentially
40?
Do you think he'd go on a loan, or do you think United just wouldn't entertain it? No, it would be a buy now. Okay.
If Harry Maguire were to go, and I don't even know if it makes sense for Manchester United to sell him in January right now, given that we are not rich with options at center back. Like JP seems to think 4 center backs is a lot, but like
for a team that just bombed out of the FA, is already out of the Carling or whatever the hell it is these days, we don't need.
We are in every single tournament. We play Thursdays before we play Sundays. Rafael Varane, God bless him, is not going to be healthy for much longer.
You've still got Phil Jones, haven't you?
We still have Phil Jones.
Oh my God!
How long of a contract did you give this man? I swear he's been at that club for 45 years.
He's a great servant to the club.
He has to be 32.
Yeah, listen, guys. Nobody cheerleads better than Phil Jones. Okay, you don't even know.
Okay, Paul. I know it's not about Phil Jones, but I just looked up real quick. Since the 2019 to 2020 season, how many appearances has Phil Jones made for the club? This is I'm assuming this is a Premier League app, so I'm assuming it's Premier League.
5, maybe.
But not bad. 6 in 4 seasons.
Oh.
Wow.
But he's been broken. He's a
broken guy.
It's not like you're not good enough to play. He's had injury after injury after year. He is. I don't even like making fun of Phil Jones. Like it's just a sad turn of events.
It is. He was. I like him. He was linked with us in this summer, and I wouldn't have hated it. I thought a good rotation player.
Listen, if somebody, if he can get a different deal, again, Harry Maguire is the subject. Phil Jones, though, sad. My perspective, Harry Maguire, 40 million probably is still the fair price tag for a guy who is out of sorts right now at United, but out of sorts largely because the system has changed. He is still high profile. I don't judge performances based on the World Cup, but the profile is there. Profile does have an impact on your price, unfortunately. But the 2 seasons that he was with us before shit went off the rails for everybody, not just Harry Maguire, he was one of the better defenders in the Premier League. Like he was solid.
He is such aerial threat.
He's an aerial threat. He's just solid. In fact, like this is like his who scored rating. It kind of consistently in the Premier League at least is around the 7 mark, which is a good, like that's hard to get a rating in the Premier League with that level. Where he struggles is if a system includes some sort of high line or high press.
He doesn't like that. Yeah,
he's not fast enough. He's not mobile enough. And he hasn't even had a partner that can cover for him in that way. And he hasn't really had a shield until this season. He's not even playing. So there's a lot of things that people have to like remember about Harry Maguire. He is not the meme that everybody seems to think 100%. He is. He's still a very good player. I personally think if he went to Aston Villa, that makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know if January is the right time for it. That's the part where I'm like, I can't see it happening in January, but I can see it being a good move for all parties involved. But I guess this is where we have to like put pen to paper and suggest like what's the actual likelihood of this really. Our friend Romano has tweeted that there is absolutely no substantiated claims from both clubs to suggest that this is actually happening. On the bullshit meter, what do we feel like this is?
Pretty high on that bullshit. Tall tower
bullshit.
Yeah, it's a big poop castle, definitely.
Poop castle. And then if it were to happen, if I'm understanding correctly, JP California might be a little bit like, really? That's where we're spending the money?
Yeah.
And then Luke would be a little bit like
the 30 to $45 million pound range. I'd be like, that's a lot for a guy who's 29,
40 million is a lot of money, but again, billionaire owners doesn't seem to be as crazy these days. So take that into consideration. 40 is what, maybe 18 to them or 15.
Luke,
so
you say this all the time about Aston Villa, and it bothers me. This billionaire owners thing. It's billionaires are billionaires because they don't throw money into pits. It doesn't
No.
matter as much
No,
as you seem to think that there's billionaire owners behind this stuff.
I disagree. I think there's different types of billionaire owners, and I think we've seen some cheap ones, and in the same way that you can have cheap people and more kind of loquacious people, extravagant. Yeah. So
well, let's unpack that then. What is your billionaire like that we think that this billionaire is the kind of billionaire that will spend money?
I would say our American billionaire, who is Wes.
Well, he's not a billionaire.
He's not a billionaire, and he's not that type of guy either. He himself, for like his own personal ability, yes, but for like because he also owns the Milwaukee Bucks, and they did a lot of things like get a brand new stadium, but he had the city of Milwaukee pretty much pay for the stadium. So I don't think he is the type to spend a lavish spending for the club. But the Egyptian owner, who is Nassef Suarez, he might be a little bit of the flamboyant spend the money. He's the guy who's running a lot of the daily Aston Villa stuff and is kind of the head honcho decision maker right now at Villa over the CEO. And I could see him going for something like this, but I don't see him wanting a center defender to be his big mark, because our big buys so far have been an attacking center mid, a speedy young winger, and a young striker from the championship. All of those are attacking players. All those guys over 30 million. And then, the summer buy, which was Philip Coutinho, one of the most expensive players ever, another attacking player. So I just don't see it being a center back being the spot.
I mean, I'll just throw like a devil's advocate observation. I do notice that new managers come in and spend money and time shoring up the defense as almost like an early through the doors objective. Like, we're going to sort out the way I want to play defensively. And then we're going to figure out how we're going to add some goals to this team. And that's
build
that line of thinking. That is where a stud defender.
I do see Emery wanting to do that, and he is a stud defender and would shore up a lot. But Emery isn't known for splashing the cash either as a coach.
Well, he hasn't had cash.
Yeah, he in Spain he took guys like that were broken at Liverpool, and he had them starting matches, a right back starting right mid and winning Europa League. So
but that was by necessity, not by like want. Like if this is a situation where I think this guy's probably been told there's money to be spent someplace. Like
that's
leave
here
Spain and then go to Aston Villa.
He didn't come for anything less than a bit of money behind it. He wouldn't have left it. It wasn't worth it, was it? Like he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to besmirch his name any further than Arsenal. And the Arsenal fans are, oh God, the less said about Arsenal sometimes the better.
Well, almost as bad as that's your new champions you're talking about. Okay, so talk to me about who you guys think you might actually want to see come in January, because that's probably a natural place to transition this rumor about Harry Maguire, likely unsubstantiated. Doesn't feel like we're buying too much into it, but tell me, who else do we think you guys want to see brought in?
I'll let you, JP. I'll let you start this time.
So the guy in first, and I'm struggling with his name already. It's like
stick to what you know then.
I think it's Kang In is his last name. He's a left-footed winger, attacking center mid. He is lightning fast. He is a pacey dribbler, and he's one of the best big opportunity chance creators in La Liga at this point. He literally played 30 minutes the other day and was the assist corner taker and just lit up the match. Helped is it Villarreal, whoever it is, Valencia score in like the 91st minute to win. He's 21 years old. He has a very low buyout clause of like 15 to 20 million. And we are clearly in for an attacking winger forward type player. I could see this type of deal.
Sorry, not to cut you off, but you say you're clearly in for it. Has there been comments made by a manager?
Because he said the squad was very uneven, and he needs to bring in a little bit of quality. Steven Gerrard decided to let go 2 of our 3 wingers in August, in Anwar El Ghazi and Bertrand Traore. Both those guys don't really look like they have a future at Villa anyways. So as of right now, we have 1 winger in Leon Bailey. And right now he is completely devoid of confidence and looks like a shell of himself. We need a kind of a wide player, and he plays in a 4-4-2 where wide players like pinch in almost like 2 10s behind two strikers.
I
So
believe
it's a
that's
very
known as
interesting
an
play.
inverted winger.
Yeah, but it's a weird 4-4-2 where it goes from a back four to a box four. It's a two forwards. It's really strange.
When you said Pinchin, I thought you got his name wrong. It's actually it's Kangin, but no, it's
Kangin.
yes, no, he I think he'd be a good acquisition. It's kind of come out of nowhere, but he had a strong World Cup. He was probably one of the few kind of talents out of that South Korean team, and I think he has been doing well, as JP said, in the league. He is forward thinking with the ball. He's not afraid to take a man on, and we do need people with a bit of confidence. I still think Bailey's a good player. I still think Bailey is, but I don't think he's going to take us next steps. I think Bailey, unless he has the mindset right at that time, you don't get much of a player. And also, we've seen he has these 1 or 2 reoccurring injuries, and when he gets hit by them, he's out for 3 to 5 weeks at a time, and enough of those in a season, he's just kind of going, oh god. So yeah, I think Kang-in Lee would be a really good acquisition, and he's young. He's only I think he's 21.
Yeah,
so
those Bailey, those are the kind of players that break your heart, because there's a player there if they can just get some momentum and some luck to just.
And
stay
if you
healthy.
don't see it, it's almost like a car crash. You just see it over and over in your head, and Leon Bailey's kind of doing that car crash moment right now where he literally is like can't even shoot a ball on frame right now. So it's kind of sad to see. The next guy in green is Alex Moreno. He is a left back from Real Betis. He is considered one of the top talents outside of the top 4 in La Liga. He's 28, 29 years old. He gets up and down. He has a great set ball piece or a left foot service. He's pacey.
Are you guys not? Sorry to interrupt, but aren't you guys okay at left back?
No,
I thought right back
yes
was more the problem.
Do you know what? I think JP, I'm sure you'll pick up on this, but we thought we were. I think Digne had that injury, and I am starting to get a sneaky feeling, and I think JP and the rest of us are getting it, that maybe Unai isn't a huge fan of Luca Digne. And I haven't seen, I got to be honest, Digne looked good because he came in as a replacement for Matty Target. Matty Target was good when there was no fans in the crowd.
Right.
And then when the fans came back, he pooped his little pants.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then, so Digne was coming in, it was always going to look a little better. Whereas now, I'm looking at Digne from an open, objective way and going, right, is he actually that good? I don't think he's the Digne that we might have seen years ago. And I think another left back, and we saw today with Augustinsson, who is on loan at the moment, and he is dog crap. In regards to the thing that you need, he loves to get forward. He's a fairly strong lad. He seems to have a good bit of pace, or a decent bit of pace to him, but he has no end product. And it's frightening how bad his crosses were. They were only beaten by how bad Bailey's right foot is. So I think we do. And also Matty Cash is apparently, Unai's maybe not a huge fan of Matty Cash, but I think it's more the left side that I can see being strengthened, because Ashley Young is aging backwards and is fantastic as a backup.
Who seems to be our player of the season so far too, by the way.
Ashley Young,
man, forever young. Now,
tell ya. That guy drinks
wife,
baby blood or something. He's like,
jeez, dude,
106 years old. There are black and white photos of him playing in World War I.
Alex Moreno gives us something different. I think Augustinsson's time is coming quickly up. I think there's a chance Villa might end his loan deal. The problem with both of Augustinsson and Luca Digne right now is they seem to really struggle when they get around the opponent's box to make any type of forward pass, to make any type of through ball, to whip in a decent cross even. So I think we need competition, because I don't think Augustinsson is going to be with us much longer. And we need somebody to come in and push Luca Digne for that spot. I still really think Luca Digne is a top level left back, and he was for a long time at Everton, because you don't break into the France squad if you're not. And so for me, I want to see him come good, but I want to see it.
France had a number of very poor defenders over the years. I think they've been bereft of defensive quality. And also,
he broke in, but he didn't stay in.
No,
well, he got
Gareth Bale was a great player, and I think in the last couple of seasons, it's not the Gareth Bale. I think I
That is
don't
a
think
quick
Digne is that
change.
player, and I would strongly disagree. And I think I'm fine with him, but I don't think he's as good as we even give him credit for. I actually think he's probably on the downside of his career, and I think he's lucky to have Villa, and I think he probably is starting to feel that pinch now. But maybe that's what we need, as you said, JP. Maybe we need a Marino coming in to put him, put a sweat on. I think certain players over the years they get a little bit relaxed. They don't have competition. And when you do, you're like, right, I have to step my game up. So yeah, that's an interesting one. I'll just mention the last one. Probably a familiar face for a lot of Premier League people. I think he did time at, was it Watford first, and then Everton most
and
recently.
Watford.
Was it that way around? Okay,
I think it was Everton and Watford.
He had a horrendous injury a couple of seasons ago, but I think playing for Watford. I remember watching it. I think it was against United. He went in for the tackle, and I remember just immediate, because I've had the injury myself. I watched it and I was like, his knee is gone. It's absolutely gone. His ACL just exploded. So that set him back a lot. But he was good for Everton. He linked up very nicely in the very small times that Lukaku actually is a apparently good footballer. And he's very good on those wings. He's deceptively quick. He's a shorter fella, but he likes to put himself around. He likes to get in there. He likes to get a ball in, and he's not afraid to kind of take a man on, which is again what you need. I would be happy enough with this. I don't think he's going to cost us a fortune, because he's on, again, kind of a relatively unknown now. He's not one that a lot of clubs are probably looking at. I think the reason his name's been mentioned is because Unai. I sometimes love watching Unai, seeing what's happening. I feel that Unai looks at Villa like a Moneyball project. And I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing some strange players like Weghorst over at United. That is a Moneyball solution. There is no way you'd be signing a 30-year-old from who didn't do it at Burnley, but that's what they need right now. And I think Deulofeu could be that for us right now.
I actually think, first of all, I don't like this player at all, because his name is Gerrard, and fuck him.
Fair play.
But the idea of signing a player that's a money ball, quote unquote, I think it's incredibly smart, and I think it should be done more often. And I've seen it happen a few times where it doesn't work out. But money ball signings are by almost definition usually very little investment, low risk to bring in somebody. And sometimes you don't even know what it is they're adding. Like when we say money ball, you don't bring in a player who's money ball to score goals, because that's not the definition of money ball. Money ball could be that he makes just a little bit more space for somebody else with their runs, and somebody else is actually the one who's benefiting versus what they're doing.
100%.
So it's also hard to evaluate them. He's an incredibly
he's an enigma.
He's an incredibly frustrating player, because he's so talented. The shit he was doing at Barcelona, the stuff he was doing at Everton, the stuff he was doing at Watford, he was so hyped up to be this next big thing for Spain.
Yep.
And it never materialized for a variety of reasons, but he has a mercurial talent about him. But I look at him and I look at players that you have like Coutinho already, where I just feel like it's another
Coutinho
kind of frustrating, creative player, because that's what he does. It's not like he's a hard worker. He's coming.
That's a good shout, dude. It's a very good shout.
Yeah. Good especially if you look at his back catalogue as well, kind of screams that. Actually, I'm looking at it now. Barcelona didn't play, went to Everton on loan. Obviously, that's where we all first saw him. Went to Sevilla on loan, back to Everton. They signed him properly for 2 years. AC Milan for a bit of a loan, Barcelona for a year, Watford on loan, and stayed there for a couple of years. And then Udinese, is it? Udinese for 3 seasons now. And actually last season he was a fairly decent return on investment. He 34 games, 13.
I gotta say, I actually didn't know he had made the full transition into a forward either.
No, I didn't either. So it's interesting to see, but I think it could go one of two ways. I think I wouldn't want to see us pay any more than 12 million for him. And I think if it was at a push 14, because that's an experimental amount of money. That's what Coutinho roughly, is kind of costing us. And I think there was more opportunity with a Coutinho. If we could get that little bit of magic back, 15 was an absolute steal. With a Deulofeu, even if you took him to the best he ever was, It's still not great. So
Yeah.
interesting. But on the whole, I'm fairly happy. Although I will point out, like what I said before, everyone's getting excited by Unai's start, which has been great. But Steven Gerrard's start was 4 wins in 6 games. So time will tell.
Terrible.
But I do think we've got a better tactician, and he is not going to be saying good evening tonight or tomorrow to that Villa team after that horrendous loss.
Is there a sense of impatience about the January transfer window for Aston Villa? Because this is what's going to happen very soon for my club and my people. Everybody will start losing their shit because it'll hit mid-January and we won't have done a mega star signing, and everybody will start clamoring like they forget what January windows are actually all about. It's like the best of who's available and nobody's available. But like, are you guys expecting like some consequences if nobody gets signed in the next couple of weeks?
I think we need at least one player through the door in January. Otherwise, and I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but I hate to say it, but I could see us going the wrong side of this table.
Right.
We're not in a position where we're we're up there with Newcastle, who signed some Moneyball signings and are absolutely flying high and really are the real deal. We're not. We're only where we are because the people below us are really bad. Like, I know the last couple of years, and you can say every year you're in this position because people are worse, but there is a sizable bereft of quality in the bottom 5, 6, 7 teams. I think anyone could go down. I think Everton, your Bournemouth, your Nottingham Forest. There is your Southampton, West Ham. I really feel for David Moyes. I have such a soft spot for David Moyes. But I think to your point, Paul, it would be a shame if we didn't get at least one. I think Moreno will be in. I think it's just how much. They had a bid rejected. There was rumors that there was an agreement, but obviously nothing's been confirmed. But I do think it would be great to get another winger as well. I really agree with JP on that. And then obviously a striker is something, but I don't think that happening now. I think that'll probably be summertime, and we'll have to see. But JP, I don't know what you think.
I think Villa fans will get very anxious if by the middle of the month we haven't made one signing. I think Villa fans in general believe that we are going to sign 2 players this month. I think one is coming, like Luke said, Alex Moreno. I think there is a second one that is probably being worked on behind the scenes quite a bit. There was confirmation that a bid was put in back to Watford for Ismaila Sarr.
Ismail
Sarr, who we did this in the summer. It was accepted for like 30 million, 27 million pounds. And then at the last minute, Steven Gerrard pulled the plug and said, no, we're not taking him. The dude had already packed his bags, even though he lives in the same area, he wouldn't have to. And it was a done deal, but he pulled it out and said, no, I don't want to play with wingers. We don't need a winger. We don't need to spend money there. Now confirmed, we made a bid and it was rejected at the very beginning of the window in the first 3 days. So I do believe we're going for a left back and a winger player. I think all Villa fans really know that. And I think they are going to start to get a little antsy by the second week, 2 more weeks of this month. But I think most Villa fans are like, all right, hands up, put them in behind your head. Let's watch this, see how the season ends. And the real thing is next season, after 6 months and 2 windows, we want Emery to be pushing for top 10. We just want to look like a team that's competing every game again, because the same issues pop up, and that is a Villa team that only plays for 45 minutes. And
that's not going to be solved in the January transfer window isn't the thing that solves that. It's time for the manager to do his job, to get them playing a certain way. And Sarr is going to be, I think, the Cinderella of the transfer window, as he's been for many transfer windows now, where everybody knows he's probably too good for Watford and will try to get him on a cheap. But for some reason, Watford seem to know how good he is or how important he is to them, and don't want to sell a guy who's in and around their top goal scorer when they're in 4th in the championship. So it's and I'm waiting for the day he goes somewhere, and then we can actually find out how good this kid is, because his reputation has been
precedes him now. Yeah,
precedes him, and it's kind of been blown out. It's bigger than Watford, and it's not that he's bigger than Watford. It's just his reputation is. I'm dying to see what he would actually do at a Crystal Palace or something.
I think it's kind of scary signing. It's Malia. I think it is now. I just for that very reason. I'm always a little tentative when a player has been talked about for as much as he. And you think it wasn't like just to a Villa or something. Remember he was off to Liverpool. It was almost a
Yeah.
certainty at one point. It was the contracts were underway, and I don't understand why it keeps falling through. I don't know whether it's a lot of
Or
room
it's
because I
not
think
as good as not as close as it
yeah.
seems it is, or as
Well,
fans think it is.
I think if they have a valuation for the player and a club comes in and says, right, we'll pay this, and I surely that like for it to have been continuous conversation, it must have, because otherwise, or is it just is his agent just constantly kind of like flaming this up? But I'm kind of a little scared with Sarr. I don't know. I think it's getting to a point now. Yes, we've been linked to him a little bit. Liverpool was linked to him. If he was as good as everyone, like, why hasn't the likes of an Everton got him for him, or or a Newcastle, or one or two teams kind of the back and forwards on him gives me a little concern, and I wouldn't be too sad if we didn't get him, because I think he's going to cost us a lot of money, and the rumor actually I just had a quick look, and the rumor right now is apparently Nottingham Forest interested for a swap deal with Dennis.
Well, they need a
and some money.
28th new player.
Exactly. They do have a lack of squad depth. So yeah.
The interesting one that I want to add into all this to kind of wrap it up is there is a lot of players coming up free in the summer, like N'Golo Kante, right? And Trossard is coming up free in the summer, and now Brighton have a chance to extend for a year. Trossard, but it looks like he wants out. Period. So there's a lot of kind of, I wouldn't say medium level talent, above medium, but not like superstar talent that's going to be up this year that are EPL players. It's going to be a very interesting summer, because I feel like there's going to be 5 or 10 decent free agents that are going to be going, and I'm wondering if Villa is looking to any of those to try and pick up somebody.
JP, that's always a little tricky though, because at this time of year, it looks like there's going to be a lot of free agents, and then one by one they all sign on,
or they get picked
the
up early.
list is not as big. But then there are players like Wilfried Zaha is going to go somewhere new. Like that's a long time coming.
I wouldn't mind.
I don't think Aston Villa is going to be the somewhere new, as an example.
Right, that's fine.
There's tiers to where these guys are going to want to go. But yeah, I don't know. I've watched a lot of Aston Villa games. My own take as a guy from the outside looking in, I don't know exactly what it is you're missing and what profile of player it would be to fix it. I go back to Harry Maguire, and I can actually say I can see how he makes that team better, and how he maybe stabilizes some things.
I agree.
And again, that's probably about it though. Like, but then you could probably name off a lot of players that I think are fringe players to their Premier League club now, and I could be like, I could see them improving Aston Villa right now. Like, if Ruben Loftus-Cheek left Chelsea to go to Aston Villa, I'd be like, I can see him making Chelsea better. Like it's a weird position you're in right now.
It is. I think time will tell. But quick one, can you remember your favorite free transfer? Obviously, we were just talking about them. The Villa one, for me, I do remember. JP, I know it's hard to remember all of them, but Thomas Hitzelsberger, Der Hammer.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah, wasn't that?
Paul, you're up, dude. Favorite free transfer?
Eriksen.
Oh, that's a great one.
Really?
Yeah. Man United don't get free transfers. By the way, the list of free transfers is very short.
Not Zlatan?
Zlatan was great, but I really like Eriksen. Like, I actually like the way he plays more than Zlatan. Zlatan was a very likable guy, charismatic and shit, but the way he exited was also a bit of a tarnish. But Eriksen right now,
LA.
I've been such a fan of Eriksen for so long, and what he's done in the Premier League on like relatively minor clubs like Tottenham, that I like seeing him somewhere bigger on a bigger stage.
I'm gonna say
I'll tell you my favorite loan though. Nobody's asking, but I'll tell you my favorite loan was Henrik Larsson.
Oh yeah, of course. Like that's taking it back, but what a one. I'm gonna say the biggest one that Villa's ever done. He is one of the highest earners at the club right now. Boubacar Kamara. 21-year-old French international on the free, and that is like honestly, he's our best player in our
It's
team
obscene.
right now.
Yeah,
He is
he's
so
worlds
good.
apart, isn't he?
He would-
He's worlds.
He would walk into some top teams in the EPL right now as a whole.
Yeah,
he would
no,
walk
he would.
into Liverpool's team.
Yeah,
Hands down.
Honestly, do you know what, jokes? You mentioned Kante going. There's a lot of rumors about him leaving, and if he did leave, I could see someone like a Kamara being a great pickup for Chelsea in that bit because he's young and he's moldable, and his statistics where it counts, like his pass ratios, his kind of breaking up a play, he's good. Paul, when you get a chance, watch the lad.
Oh no, I know. I've seen him. He's great. He's great.
Now, favorite
but
loan, I'm going to go
Chelsea
James
are going to get
Milner.
Declan Rice. So, like,
Yeah, that's true.
No, he's not going to Chelsea.
you know what? I know a specific young man with a bad ticker and no hair who drinks too much that will offer you
Brian?
4-1 odds that he's going to
Brian.
go to Chelsea. The Declan Rice is going to go to Chelsea. He will offer you 4-1 bet anything you want.
Yeah, but also we should just preface this by saying I don't know another person who isn't this guy who's lost more money to Bet365 than I feel that man has. So I'm kind of a little bit on the edge with how he bets. But
you're allowing Bet365 to take all the money when you could be taking the money.
Hey, that is true. Maybe I'll have to contact Mr. Convery and ask him.
Yeah, just be like, hey, I heard you're giving out money. Declan not going to Chelsea, 3-1 odds. Let's go.
Ooh, I do like that. That. All right. Well, Harry, you can come, you can stay. It's up to you, but we'd have you either way for the right price.
Yeah, fair enough.
That wouldn't be a good song title, would it?
Get the fuck out of my club, Harry Maguire. Bye, everybody.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, everybody. Gents, have a great Monday. This is Sunday, but have a great Monday. I'll talk to y'all later. Everybody else, like and subscribe. Peace out. We are the North End. Bye.
Bye.
This is the North End. This is the North End.